Hey, so are you a middle school educator struggling with classroom management, just not knowing exactly how to deal with your students? Well, I got the trick. So, I myself am a highly experienced middle school educator. I've been in education for over 10 years, most of the time with middle school students. And I'll tell you one thing that's really, really important when working with middle school students. The most important thing when working with middle school students is building those strong relationships. I can tell you right now, on many occasions, students are great with me in my classroom simply because I build those strong relationships. And I've told this to many teachers many times. It doesn't matter how fun your class is, or what type of activities you use, or what kind of strategies you use in your classroom. If you don't build those relationships with those students, the students are not going to behave. Also, students work well for people that they like. So if you want to have a classroom, a high performing classroom with students that do well, your students need to like you. Building those relationships is so important. So my number one tip for better classroom behavior is to take the time out of your busy schedule every day to build a relationship with your students. So how can you build this relationship? There's many ways to find time to do that. A good idea at the beginning of every class is to take the time to get to know your students, to take the time to talk about what's going on in their lives. Me personally, as a middle school teacher, or as a teacher in general, I always take the first couple of minutes of every day just to check in with all of my students and have students meet up kind of like a community, and we all discuss anything that's bothering us or anything that we're looking forward to. And it builds that community in the classroom where students feel comfortable with you, they feel comfortable in your classroom, they like your classroom, so they're less likely to act up in your classroom. Also, another important thing to do regarding these relationships is, if you know your student is involved in any kind of extracurricular activities, whether they play sports or they play an instrument or anything that they do outside of school, why don't you ask them, so how was your game yesterday? What are you looking forward to? And all of these things will help students have that relationship with you, which is really important for classroom management. Now, building relationships is not the only strategy for increasing, for having better behaviors in your classroom, but it's a really important one. I've personally seen firsthand, as a middle school dean and as an experienced middle school educator, how a student can wreak havoc in a classroom with a teacher that they don't like. And many times these students don't like the teacher because the teacher hasn't taken the opportunity to get to know the student. The teacher hasn't taken the time to know the student outside of the classroom. This teacher hasn't shown empathy or care for what is going on in the student's life, which many times indirectly impacts how the student is going to behave in your classroom. It is so important to take the time to get to know your students. Now, as I said before, it's not the only strategy to improve classroom management, but it is really, really important. So follow me in my upcoming videos where I will discuss more strategies to improve classroom management, specifically in the middle school setting, where children tend to be the most difficult at this age. I know it's rough. I've been there. I'm still there now, and I'm here to support you all. Thanks for watching.